Welcome aboard, Raider Nation. Well, today is Thursday, and we're getting that much closer to this showdown in Denver for the AFC West title. Is that crazy? I mean, again, if we think about it, going back to the beginning of this year, we talked about potentially getting in as a wild card. This might be our return to the playoffs. I didn't think many people thought that we were going to have the potential to be 13-3. Some of us might have. I think obviously those were the homers among us that just maybe saw something that wasn't quite there. But in effect, we are here. We are 13-3. We've got a big game in Denver to decide the AFC West. Now, some things can happen. The San Diego Chargers could beat the Kansas City Chiefs, at which point we will be the division leader anyways. But if we do pull off this victory and somehow Miami manages to beat the New England Patriots, who may rest their players, you never know, after watching what happened to us this week, we could have the number one seed. It could come through Oakland, and that would be absolutely incredible. So right now I want to bring in our guest for today. It is none other than the one and only Oakland Knight. Jason, welcome.
Thanks, Pete, man. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for calling me up and letting me be a part of this. Just really excited to talk some Raider football. It's been a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you guys that are watching right now, I'm wearing these glasses here. It's a bit of an homage to George Michael. Can you see I've got the 5 o'clock shadow? I got the Faith sunglasses on here. But it's also an homage to my friend here, the Oakland Knight. All right, so let's just kind of jump into it, man. We haven't had an opportunity to really grind this through. We've talked about it a little bit already, but we haven't had an opportunity to kind of hash it out. Why don't you tell everybody how your holiday was, and then right after that, just give me and the followers here an idea of what was going through your mind on Christmas Eve.
Well, first of all, I had a Merry Christmas, and I hope everybody out there in the Raider Nation had one as well. And I wish you guys an early Happy New Year too. My thoughts, man. I remember sitting there and I was watching that last drive, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, if Carr can put something together in this drive and either get a field goal or at least get 2 or 3 more minutes off the clock, that we should pull him from the game just so we don't get injury. And my thought process with that was, if Kansas City would have lost to Denver, then on Christmas Day, I was like, okay, this would be an opportunity to rest Carr, get him healthy, his finger healthy, and all that good stuff as we head into the playoffs. And even then, regardless, even if we don't get the bye, I mean, a chance to just rest some of these guys. Crabtree got hurt a little bit, Carr. And as I was thinking of that, that's when Carr went down. And I just remember sitting there just rubbing my head, stressed out. I was like, okay, well, this changes everything. Because you saw it on his face, and you read his lips. He said it was broke. You knew it was bad from the get-go. Right then and there, I knew we were going to get Matt McGloin. You know, after that thought, I mean, everything was just racing to my head. What is this team going to be moving forward now that we don't have our leader? Because as everybody saw, just like they saw in Carolina, without Derek Carr being healthy and Derek Carr being on their minds in the locker room, getting x-rays, whatever's going on, it's a whole different football team. He is essentially the heartbeat of this football team. So, you know, just that goes beyond his quarterback ability. We lost the heartbeat of the football team.
Yeah, you know, I was watching it and I felt the same thing, you know, and again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, the Carolina game, and now which obviously this was a much more severe injury, but we saw something that I think I haven't seen in a long time, which is really just the deflation of an entire team. Not an offense, not a defense, not a coaching staff, not the fan base, but I mean, it just, in both of those instances, when Derek Carr has been removed from this football team, it's almost like death. I don't know any other way to explain it. It was like everybody was dead on this football team. And to me, that says that he's extremely important and extremely vital to this team. But with that being said, Reggie McKenzie has done a fantastic job of building this team, making it a better team, so that in the event that McGloin or another Connor Cook, whoever it is, does have to go in, the talent there is a lot better. And I've said it before 100 times. We're not a Atlanta Falcon team. We are not a Green Bay Packer team with a Jordy Nelson. We are a team that stretches the entire field, plays within the system, makes the safe throws, forces you to defend the entire field. So we're not it's not quite like losing Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Yes, it is a huge blow. But in your opinion, moving forward, what does this team have to do? Is it as much of an uphill battle as everybody's saying on TV? It's just we have no chance. Or can Matt McGloin play in this system, run the system the same way that it was being run under, let's say, a Derek Carr, spreading the field and challenging the entirety of the field? Can he do that? Can he be I guess you would say, game manager, in order to go deep into the playoffs and again, even potentially if we have a first-round bye, to get us to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I do believe he does. It's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be easy, but I do believe that the talent from Matt McGloin is there. The issue that I have and that I see is not the talent around him, right? We got Amari Cooper, we got Michael Crabtree, we got Roberts, we got Holmes, we got Walford Rivera, we got Latavius Murray, we got DeAndre Washington, we got Jalen Richard. Now, I just named all of our play-making weapons that surround the quarterback. And to top it off, you got, in our opinion, the number one offensive line in the league. It dominates, it's solid, and this should go well for any quarterback, no matter who the quarterback is. When you have weapons surrounding you and an offensive line that can protect you the way that this offensive line has protected Carr all season long, the opportunity is most definitely there for him to be a game manager. My only problem is he hasn't played with these guys. He hasn't done what Derek Carr has done. And the biggest thing that Derek Carr has done in the system with Bill Musgrave and Jack Del Rio is he's earned their trust. It's a whole different game. If you look at the way that Derek Carr was used in the first half of the season versus this later half, especially since the first Denver game, they really started to open up the offense. You saw slowly but surely a lot of the wide receiver screens not being used as much, a lot of the running back screens being used in different ways. They were using more wheel outs and stuff like that. I'm just afraid that now that you got an untested McGloin, a guy who knows the system but has not played in the system in regular season games, that you might see the tendency to start using the wide receiver screens and too much more of the checkdowns to protect a smaller, less arm strength Matt McGloin.
Yeah, and with that being said, I mean, it leads sort of into the next question, which is, at the beginning of the season, we talked about it. You and we talked about it extensively, I think, both offensively and defensively. And we kept saying we really don't know what we're going to get offensively. We have an idea based on the personnel they're bringing in, based on the history of what these guys have done. We had sort of an idea. I think we really thought this defense was going to be something that it sort of molded into something else. But my question is, going back to the beginning of the season, we talked about it. This is a big, strong offensive line. You got road graders, you got maulers in there. These are big, strong, physical guys built for the run game. For whatever reason, we tend to throw the ball more than we do run the ball. And even when Derek Carr wasn't hurt, we were running the ball a lot of the times out of the shotgun. Do you think that we go back and we actually begin to see more of a conventional Dallas style of offense where really you are kind of lining up, running it on first and second down and throwing it to the sticks, which people have been asking for, again, I think all year. Derek Carr is a special player, so you could get away with doing some other things. But with McGloin under center, do you get the feel that they are going to go to more of a conventional offense, the type of offense we thought, which is run heavy, play action, hitting guys, single cover down the field? Or do you think that Bill Musgrave runs a very similar offense to what he did with Derek Carr?
Well, first and foremost, I do believe that we are going to do the conventional style, run, pass. We've already seen that. Both times that Matt McGloin has been put in games in the regular season, that's exactly what we got. Run, pass. Watch the tapes, guys. I mean, that's exactly how they use Matt McGloin. for the short term, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of game plan they put together for McGloin for 4 quarters of football. But, you can't it's kind of a hit and miss type thing. I mean, if you're going to do it that way, Latavius Murray is going to have to be able to run hard, power football, and actually pick up the yardage needed to run that scheme with the Matt McGloin. Matt McGloin is unproven to be able to get the ball down the field in the past consistently and effectively like Derek Carr does. And this Denver game, for example, they're really going to put that to the test. They're going to load up the box. They're going to want to stop the run at the point of attack and force Matt McGloin to put the ball in the air. They want to test the smaller quarterback, that's playing, behind a huge offensive line, which kind of takes some of the viewpoints away from him. So, Musgrave likes to use the outside. That might be in favor of Matt McGloin. But again, I mean, the running game is going to be essential here, because if we can't run the ball and get at least 4 yards per carry and put ourselves in situations where it's 3rd and short, I think McGloin has potential to struggle, because, we don't know what else to think at this point.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. Like you said, Derek Carr, I think, has just a real command of this offense. Matt McGloin has a book understanding of the offense. It's kind of like if you read a bunch of books on playing guitar, but you never picked up that guitar and you never played that guitar. With that being said, I think he has played around with the guitar in the past. I think he does put in good work. I think he does understand the concepts, and I think he understands what it is, like we did, that this offense is trying to do. I think when you come in like Matt McGloin under somebody like Olsen, with the talent that he had around him, I mean, he was just trying to make something happen. This football team, you don't necessarily need to do that. I think you can play, within the system with this particular offense and let the playmakers really make plays. All right, we're going to go ahead and go to a break. And when we come back, again, we're going to talk about some of the similarities of the football team that Matt McGloin has now. And we're also going to talk about, is this a blessing or is this a curse that we do have another game against a team that has nothing to play for heading into the playoffs? Is this the one shot that the Oakland Raiders have? Is this the one get it done for Derek that they have, and they come out and they play a really good game, but then, as we move into the playoffs, this is that one shot, or are they able to capitalize and continue with the success moving forward? So go ahead, stay tuned, guys, and we will be right back.
Raider Nation, stand up. I tried to tell you we were coming this year. This the Oakland Raider anthem, let it bump in your ear. Derek Carr, the MVP, man, he wanted this clear. Khalil Mack got quarterbacks running with fear, yeah. I gotta brag on my team. 2002, they tried to rob us, but we back for the ring. Michael Crabtree, he's a catching machine. Hey, yeah, I love the Raiders, but I rap for my king. Now everybody wanna talk about the Cowboys, but they ain't ready for that Oak Town crowd noise. Yeah, we got the black hole where they get it loud, boy. It's still God over money till they put me in the ground, boy. Reggie McKenzie really sparked this team. Drafted Carr, Amari Cooper, and Marquette King. You ever need dance lessons? Marquette King and Seth Robertson, the fourth is probably our best thing. He started this thing. Shout out to Jack Del Rio, he the heart of this thing. You wasn't loyal from the jump, don't act a part of this thing. It's Young Z in the building going hard for the king. I be trucking the devil like I'm Latavius Murray. And tomorrow ain't promised, thank God he saved me this early. Unashamed of the gospel till they hang me or burn me. My dad's a Prince of Peace, he didn't create me to worry. There's only one nation, that's the Raider Nation. Boy, I got a Napoleon Compton flow. Will make your home game look like a road game. You ain't know our fan bases all across the globe. Hey, I pull up with the squad bumping Kingdom music. Wanna know about our God, pump that Kingdom music. He can change your whole life, dog. I seen him do it. Super Bowl 51, let's get that ring in Houston.
Derek, low snap. Derek looking. Derek going to lob one for the end zone for Crabtree. Did he get both feet down? Touchdown! Raiders! Michael Crabtree did it again.
Oh, my.
His third touchdown of the game.
All right, folks, welcome back. So once again, we're kind of talking about what we, sort of foresee happening this week, with the Raiders, and whether or not this is truly a blessing or this is a curse. So we got the Colts game. It would have been so fantastic if the Chiefs had gone on and lost, and we would have had the number one seeding kind of locked up. Wouldn't be a lot to play for. We could kind of just say, hey, this is a game that we just need to get through. No big deal. Now this game takes on a little bit more significance. Again, we want to win the AFC West. But at the same time, Denver's out of it. Denver joins a very, very exclusive club of teams that won the Super Bowl but did not make the playoffs the following year. Hey, welcome to the club, Denver. But other than that, I mean, they've got nothing to play for. Ware has the back surgery. He goes on IR. Ward is going on to IR. This is a team that's not making the playoffs. They were just completely embarrassed by the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this, in your opinion, I mean, is this a good kind of a starter game for McGloin, or would you have preferred that we were in a game that, where we had an opponent that was really going to be throwing everything at us so we could really get a good idea of who Matt McGloin is?
I think this is a perfect game for Matt McGloin, in my opinion, simply because, Denver doesn't have anything to play for except for pride. Right? I mean, you're talking about a divisional rival. We embarrassed them the first time we played them, and now they're not making the playoffs. If there's anything they could do going out of the season, their last game, their final game, is to stop the Raiders from winning the division. I think that'll be motivation enough for these guys to bring it. Now, like you mentioned, you don't got Ware, you don't got Ward, but this is going to still be one of the best defenses in the league, which is going to allow McGloin to be tested a lot. And the only thing that would have made this game a little bit more, beneficial to a guy like Matt McGloin would have been if Denver would have won last week, because then it wouldn't have mattered if we won or lost. And we could have, kind of tested Matt McGloin in certain situations without it affecting the football team. The biggest problem now is you got to find the right answer going in. If you really want that bye, which I do believe the Raiders want, because we kind of talked about before coming on air that, the potential chance of Derek Carr being able to play at some point before the end of the season, you're going to need that bye. You're just simply going to need that bye to guarantee maybe that to happen. So you're going to have to play to win the game, right? So, and Matt McGloin, he's a gunslinger. We talk a lot about Derek Carr, his love for Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger. Matt McGloin is a guy that takes tons of risks. Watch all of his games. Even in the preseason, this guy is a risk taker. So are they going to allow him to be that kind of quarterback, or are they going to go way conservative like we talked about in the first segment, and we're going to see a lot of screens and a lot of running game?
Yeah, I was looking at it, and I heard a lot of people, particularly the prognosticators on the legacy media, the guys on NFL Network, even the guys on, NFL Live and Inside the NFL, a lot of people saying, well, hey, look, they ran it against Denver the first time. They should just run it against Denver, get uber conservative. But you got to think that, Denver is going to have looked at what it is that we did against them and make some adjustments. I mean, don't you think? I just, I keep hearing all these people say, yeah, we're just going to run it down their throat. And I agree that we can do that, but I think we are going to have to take some chances. I think they're going to have 8 guys in the box. Denver's one of the only teams that can man up their guys against our wide receivers. It's a good thing, this isn't an actual playoff game because, again, they can man up their receivers against our receivers. But the fact that Ward is out, the fact that they've lost Ware, the fact that, we ran the ball directly at Von Miller and there was nothing that he could do about it. I mean, it does bode well, but you would imagine that they've looked at the tape and they've made some corrections. They're going to scheme it a little bit differently. We're going to have to take some chances. And I'm just, like you said, I'm just wondering, does Matt McGloin take some of those risky shots that Derek Carr just wouldn't take, the throw in double coverage to end that Colt game. I don't think that's a throw that Derek Carr makes. I think Derek Carr is much more, even in the pros, he's much more of a college quarterback. He wants to see a guy open and know that a guy is open. He wants to know that there's not double coverage before he puts the ball in the air. Is McGloin going to take some of those chances? We all know 8 touchdowns, but also 8 interceptions. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think that we can go back in and repeat the 200 yards on the ground? I mean, if we could, that would be amazing. But do you think that that's reasonable?
I do believe it's reasonable. I believe that Denver is in a situation where they are vulnerable to the run game, and we exploited it before. But like you said, they're going to be ready for it. They're not going to, at least they're going to try not to allow us to put another 200 yards on them. So that's going to be their primary focus. So they're going to want to test Matt McGloin themselves to see what McGloin is going to be able to do by putting the ball in the air. That's what makes me a little nervous, because we really don't know what kind of quarterback we're going to get, because all the other times outside of the 2013 season, Matt McGloin comes in for just short periods of time. He played in 2015, the first game of the season, the back half of that game, and he threw some picks. And then he comes in, he gets sacked. He can't get the ball out of his hand quickly. So there's a lot of things that we see, but he's also pressing in those situations. This will be the first time since 2013 that he's going to have 4 quarters to work with. So I'm hoping that he's not going to press as hard. That will take his time like Derek does and try to get the feel of the game. That Bill Musgrave is going to coach up that, by the way. But we're going to definitely start to run the football and see what Denver's going to do. It's all about Matt McGloin being able to see the field properly and making the right judgment calls and not pressing and throwing those Brett Favre type throws down the field.
Well, and I think there's also something to be said. Again, I did a show yesterday. We talked about Reggie McKenzie building up this team. And again, I gave you props there because you've always been a ardent supporter of Reggie McKenzie in this process. But looking at the comparison between what Matt McGloin was playing with in 2013 and what he's playing with today is so stark. The offensive line alone, Jared Valdir, good player, not a great player. I wouldn't even say as good as Donald Penn. I think Donald Penn is probably playing better than Valdir. Lucas Nix or Osamele, I'll take Osamele, 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Wisniewski or Hudson, I would take Hudson, obviously. Jackson or Brizell, Jackson, obviously. And then you've got Watkins or Khalif Barnes. There's no comparison there. So the offensive line, you're looking at Streeter or Crabtree, Cooper or Denarius Moore, Walford or Jared Mastert. I mean, everywhere across this offense except at the running back position, I think we've made tremendous upgrades. If you look at Darren McFadden, if you look at Latavius Murray, I think both of those guys are guys. They are absolutely capable of having tremendous games once or twice a year. But the majority of the time, I think that they're just effective backs. They're not hurting you, but they're not game changers. You don't have to design your offense around them. And again, Carr or McGloin, Carr, certainly an upgrade. So when you look at what Reggie McKenzie was able to do, really it is an incredible transformation. And that's just on the offensive side of the ball. But again, like you said before, at that time, he had a lot of reps with guys like Streeter. He had a lot of reps with Moore, even Jacoby Ford and Andre Holmes. In this scenario, being kind of thrust in, he doesn't have a lot. But the good thing is, again, we're already in the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. So,
correct.
No matter what, he's going to have all of this week to get some reps in. He's going to have an actual game against some very good competition at the cornerback level. Then he's going to have an off week. If they win this game or Kansas City loses, he'll have an off week to develop more chemistry with these guys. But once again, it's a hard thing to do. But I'll tell you right now, I would much rather be going out there with Crabtree and Cooper than I would be going out there with Rod Streeter and Denarius Moore at this point.
And let's not forget, Pete, Matt McGloin in 2013 had some really good games. When this guy is on, he's being protected, and receivers are able to run their routes cleanly, this guy does throw a good football. I think it was even in Denver in 2013, he was able to really throw some dimes and really put it to Denver. So this guy can play the position. So we have to keep that in mind. I mean, he hasn't had that opportunity since 2013 to have 4 quarters to get some rhythm going, to try to build some chemistry with guys like Cooper and Crabtree. But as long as they keep it simple, it's all about throwing the ball and catching the ball. We all know that. It's really when he becomes in duress and he has to move out of the pocket and throw on the run, and they're not used to exactly being able to read what McGloin's thinking, where the problem could come in. So, again, I think that's why the running game is going to be huge in this game. They're going to have to rely on it to take some of the pressure off. But I'm excited to see Matt McGloin actually try to catch some rhythm and see what he could do with the football, because we know that when he gets hot, this guy is just as good as anybody in the league. He just really hasn't had the opportunity. Is he Derek Carr in the system? No, because he hasn't had the opportunity. So it is a downgrade, but I feel more comfortable with McGloin going in than if we would have had Terrell Pryor going in at the situation, correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, we're not even talking about defense. We're not talking about what they can do in terms of taking the ball away. We're not talking about field position, and the ability to, being in Denver, again, kicking the ball, farther than it would normally be kicked. So you don't have to do quite as much. We don't know right now what the weather conditions are necessarily going to be. There's some forecasts coming out, but we're not exactly sure, exactly how that's going to, come into effect. But once again, like you just said, this is a guy that doesn't need to be Derek Carr. It's so strange to think that the design of this football team is not the way it is being utilized. The design of this football team really is big, strong mashers of an offensive line. You should have a powerful running back, a big, strong running back that is running from an eye back, taking advantage of this line. This offense should be working based on personnel, I'm saying. It should be working exactly the same way that Dallas is. It is not. So, again, we don't need to throw the ball 40 times a game. We don't need to have late-minute heroics. We don't need a lot of these things that we've been seeing. Stay within the scheme and do, just do the best job possible of maintaining the field position, playing good defense, and running the ball as effectively as possible. I doubt it's really hard to have back-to-back 200 rushing yard games, particularly on a division opponent. So it looks like that's going to be it. Once again, thank you so much, partner, for coming on. I know everybody in the nation was wishing you happy birthday. I've been receiving a ton of stuff on email, people wanting to shout out to you and tell you that they missed you and appreciate you. Do you have anything to say to those guys out there that are watching?
Yeah, just that I really appreciate all the love and support, guys. I do miss you all. I am moving on to some bigger things right now. I'm waiting for the state to kind of kick in and kind of give me the helping hand that I need. And I'm going to start doing some motivational speaking type things and appearances at places. So that's my goal moving forward. But, me and Pete talk. I will be on here. I will be supporting him, and you will hear my voice. So I'm not going to totally disappear forever out of your lives, but right now I'm just kind of enjoying the flow in the moment, and I'm just trying to accomplish other things in my life, and it's just good. And Pete, thanks for reaching out and getting me back on, and I would love to do this some more. Yeah,
absolutely, brother. I'm sure you will be taking my place if I'm sick or something. I can give you a call, fire up that old green screen, and get it going on. All right, brother. Appreciate it. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for today. Once again, we appreciate you watching. You can go ahead and send emails to thew2w@gmail.com. You can also reach me on Twitter at the W2W, also on Facebook at the W2W, and of course here on YouTube and our gab.ai account, the W2W at gab.ai. All right, folks, until tomorrow, we'll see you.